Hi everyone. So this is another interesting chart that I thought I should analyze, and this basically is related to death of someone known to me, and this guy unfortunately died from a train accident. Okay, and I just thought whether this event can be analyzed using primary directions and distribution through the bound. So on the left you see his natal chart, and on the right it is the solar return chart or the year 2023. So June 2023 is the solar return chart because this person died around January 2024. Okay, so early 2024 is when this person died from a train accident. So very unfortunate, and may his soul rest in peace. And I thought I will analyze this event using primary directions. Okay. Now, if we go close to the time when this event took place, see, sun is the sect light because this person was born at 8:30 a.m. approx time. So remember that the analysis using primary directions might not be super accurate if the birth time is not very accurate, because it has a lot of dependency on having a very accurate birth time. Nevertheless, even assuming the birth time to be right, the sect-light sun was directed to the terms of Saturn in Cancer. So if I look at the sign Cancer, the Egyptian terms, the terms of Saturn are 26 degrees to 30 degrees. So 26 to 29 degrees 59 minutes. So 26 to 30. Now let's look at the chart. So the sect light luminary sun was directed to, and sun is also life force, okay, and so sun was directed to the terms of Mars, okay, in Cancer, and that is basically 26 to 30. So if I map this in the solar return chart, roughly 26 to 30 degrees Cancer is somewhere here. This is 23 degrees Cancer. So this is the directed sun, the position of the directed sun. Okay, and if you closely observe, Mars is in the solar return chart is at 23 degrees of Cancer, right? So it is very close to the directed sun, and just in a couple of days, right? Because the solar return chart is a static position of the chart on the 19th of June 2023. Within a couple of days, this Mars will move into the directed sun. So the body of Mars will conjunct the position of the directed sun, or the body of Mars will fall within that terms of the directed sun, right? So obviously Mars signifies accidents, injuries, and also and sun is like the life force. So obviously first great malefic, and Mars is also the planet that is contrary to the sect because this is a day chart. So Mars is even more malefic, and Mars falls into the body of the directed sun, right? Now remember, Mars is also in the terms of Saturn, okay? So the body of Mars falls in the term, so the body of Mars falls in the terms of the directed sun, and this happens in the terms of Saturn. And what is Saturn? Saturn is the natal 8th lord. Okay, let me repeat. The body of Mars falls in the directed sun, and the directed sun is in the terms of the 8th lord Saturn, right? So Saturn is the 8th lord, right? And Saturn is also something called as Anareta, which means the killer planet. Okay, so now you have the influence of two malefics: the sun directed to the terms of Saturn, where Saturn is the 8th lord, and then a body of Mars falling into the directed terms of the sun. So you see, first great malefic's influence in it, right? Now Just on top of that, right, I also wanted to bring your notice to few other points, right? The See, by the time when this person died, so he had completed 57 years, and his 50, yeah, he had completed how many years had he completed? So 2023 minus 1967. Okay, so 56 years. So he had completed 56 years, and he was running his 57th year. So 57, if you subtract it from the nearest multiple of 12, so it is 49. So obviously, the perfected ascendant now had moved to Cancer. So perfected ascendant had now shifted to Cancer. So 7 degree of Pisces. 7 degrees of Pisces is the position of the perfected ascendant. So the perfected ascendant is now here. So this is the perfected ascendant. And remember, the perfected ascendant now contains the sign now contains the planet Saturn, and Saturn is the eighth lord. So already this is like, if I look at the new ascendant, because the perfected ascendant itself is like a new ascendant, right? Because every year it is shifting by one sign. So in this particular year, in 2023, the ascendant moves to the sign Pisces by perfection, and the eighth lord Saturn is already present in that sign. So that is another indication of danger kind of thing, right? So now let us look at one more point that I wanted to bring to your notice, right? The ascendant, okay, of this chart, okay, is Cancer. So the ascendant lord is Moon. Now if you look at this particular year, the ascendant lord Moon is in the 8th house of the solar return chart. So the ascendant lord Moon is in the 8th house of the solar return chart, right? So that is another affliction, right, where your ascendant lord Moon is in the 8th house of the solar return chart. And if you also observe, just a minute. If you also observe, the ascendant lord Moon is in the 8th house of the solar return chart, and look at this, the natal Saturn is at 18 degrees of Pisces, and the ascendant lord Moon is at 18 degrees of Gemini. And if you see, the natal Saturn squares the revolution Moon, because 3, 6, 9, 12. So the 8th natal Saturn, which is the 8th lord, is also squaring the revolution Moon, which is the ascendant lord in the 8th house. So 8th lord squaring the natal ascendant lord, which is now placed in the 8th house. So look at the 8th house influences. I hope you understood. So the ascendant is Cancer. The ascendant lord in this particular year is placed in the 8th house of the revolution chart, and it is again squared, a partile square by Saturn, and Saturn is also the 8th lord of the natal chart. So many 8th house influences, apart from the fact that your sun is directed to the terms of Saturn. So there is so much of Saturnian and Martian influence in place. So Saturn, being the chronocrator, is squaring the ascendant lord. Ascendant lord is in the 8th house. The sun is directed to the terms of Saturn, and Saturn again is the 8th lord, and then the body of Mars will shortly fall in the directed terms. So all these definitely show that it's going to be a very, very dangerous situation for this person. Although it's may not be easy to predict that this person will die from a train accident as such, but yes. So you have the influence of Mars and you have the influence of Saturn, and typically what I have observed is when such negative incidents happen to anyone, you most probably will have both Mars and Saturn influencing, or at least one of the two influencing. So I hope you liked the analysis and also the effectiveness of this technique, provided you know how to use it and apply it. So thank you, and I look forward to some bit of encouragement from you guys so that I can make more interesting videos. Thanks, and this is Subbu signing off.